Well, it's because the Greek philosophers didn't come up with the ideas they did because they were Greek. They came up with the ideas they did because they were human beings and because they instantiated the human essence. And so what that means is the possibilities of Greek philosophy, just like the philosophy, the possibilities of any philosophy anywhere in the world that emerges, are really just possibilities of the human essence. And so that's why you talk about Platonism and Aristotelianism and you mean, Plato and Aristotle, but these are simply emblematic of larger philosophical methodologies which are simply basic human inclinations. Like Coleridge said, he's the master of handy catchphrases, every man is born either a Platonist or an Aristotelian. So we're talking about a very, very fundamental I don't want to say dichotomy, but a very fundamental basic binary choice, which is only one or the other in virtue of the structure of the human essence, that you can only really approach it either this way or that other way. There are as two broadest methodologies, because one, the broad Platonic methodology, what one might call the Ishrāqī methodology, so because of a simply mistaken narrative, the Ishrāqī school is sometimes taken to be synonymous with Suhrawardi. It's not. Suhrawardi is an Ishrāqī, and the Ishrāqī school is as it were the founder of the Ishrāqī school, is seen as being Plato. And some would say it's Pythagoras, and some would say it's others, and some would take it all the way back to Hermes and so on. But the point being that it's a broad philosophical methodology which teaches that our souls possess, we could say spirits in this context because in some senses they're synonymous and not others, but here they would be in the sense that I mean. Our spirits have an intrinsic affinity with the spiritual pre-embodied world because that's that's where we're from. And obviously the obvious analogue in the revealed tradition is the day of Alastu bi Rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And so in our intrinsic nature, we have this affinity with pure meanings prior to embodiment. And that's why when we come into the embodiment, it's not a temporal priority so much as an intrinsic affinity. And then when we come into the bodies, a part of us, because of that kathatha, because of the coarseness of coming into an embodied state, we are distanced from that immediate access to truth and intelligibility, but it's still there because what is embodied is the spirit. And that's what allows us to recollect traces of intelligibility, because the world of becoming, or this world of flux and change that we're presently enjoying, has these faint echoes of intelligibility, such that it's intrinsically knowable, such that we can reflect on it and think of what might lie beyond it, and so forth. And that those traces are veiled by our state of embodiment to a certain extent, but that by undergoing a process of purification, right, where we identify more and more with the spirit and less with, let's say, ego and the body, we see more and more of the underlying structure of reality, and ultimately the forms which underlie the realm of becoming. And the realm of becoming only exists, insofar as it does exist, in virtue of its participation in the realm of forms, and that this takes place via purification, by us actually becoming transformed, so that we are not just, it's as if we are more like, but we are actually more like the intelligible world. And so you can see that there's a very, very strong relationship to Sufism, and a very, very powerful continuity with Sufism. And the broad peripatetic approach is to say, no, I mean, that's all, there's no evidence for it, and it's all fanciful. we're here with our normal sense faculties. So we have essentially sense faculties, and we have, our logical structures, and that's what we all possess. We can all discuss it together, that we know that we all possess these faculties.